protections for corporations, nor was the wording of the amendment ever altered in the way Conkling suggested. As we will see, one of the preeminent figures in American politics had attempted to deceive the justices of the Supreme Court in an effort to win constitutional protections for the Southern Pacific Railroad. Although a procedural snafu prevented the Supreme Court from issuing a final ruling in Conkling's case, the justices soon after embraced Conkling's argument that corporations had rights protected by the 14th Amendment. In the years that followed, the Supreme Court would invoke those corporate rights to invalidate numerous laws governing how businesses were to be run, supervised, and taxed. Between 1868, when the amendment was ratified, and 1912, when a scholar set out to identify every 14th Amendment case heard by the Supreme Court, the justices decided 28 cases dealing with the rights of African Americans, and an astonishing 312 cases dealing with the rights of corporations. At the same time, the court was upholding Jim Crow laws in infamous cases like Plessy v. Ferguson, 1896. The justices were invalidating minimum wage laws, curtailing collective bargaining efforts, voiding manufacturing restrictions, and even overturning a law regulating the weight of commercial loaves of bread. The 14th Amendment, adopted to shield the former slaves from discrimination, had been transformed into a sword used by corporations to strike at unwanted regulation. We the people. Revered by so many, those three words that begin the Constitution have also been criticized for being inaccurate. When the Constitution went into effect in 1789, African Americans were enslaved in 11 states, and women were not allowed to vote in any. The framers used the phrase "we the people" to identify who was responsible for enacting this charter of liberty and self-government, but their description was misleading. More than half the nation's population was prohibited from participating in the process by which the Constitution was adopted. Most were also denied many of the rights the Constitution purported to guarantee. For those left out, the phrase was not a description, but an aspiration, and American history has often pivoted around their struggles to gain equal rights, their fight to finally take their rightful place among we the people. While the civil rights movements for women, racial minorities, and other oppressed groups have been thoroughly studied, there has been another centuries-long push for equal rights that has remained largely unnoticed: the corporate rights movement. Roscoe Conkling's case was neither the first nor the last time corporations asked the Supreme Court to recognize their constitutional rights. Despite the fact that corporations have never been subjected to systemic oppression like women and minorities, they too have pushed to gain constitutional protections since America's earliest days. Indeed, today corporations have nearly all the same rights as individuals: freedom of speech, freedom of the press, religious liberty, due process, equal protection, freedom from unreasonable searches and seizures, the right to counsel, the right against double jeopardy, and the right to trial by jury, among others. Corporations do not have every right guaranteed by the Constitution. They have no right to vote or right against self-incrimination, and none to date has gone to court asserting a right to keep and bear arms. Yet corporations have won a considerable share of the Constitution's most fundamental protections. Corporations, too, have fought to become part of we the people. In the past decade, the issue of constitutional rights for corporations was thrust into the public spotlight by the Supreme Court's controversial 2010 decision in Citizens United. By a narrow 5-4 majority, the justices ruled that corporations have a First Amendment right to spend their money to influence elections. The decision was wildly unpopular, with polls showing an overwhelming majority of both Democrats and Republicans opposed. Citizens United also helped inspire Occupy Wall Street, where protesters carried signs declaring corporations are not people. I don't care how many times you try to explain it. President Barack Obama said, "Corporations aren't people. People are people." As of 2016, 16 states and hundreds of municipalities had endorsed a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United and clarify that constitutional